when you think about how gaming specifically has impacted all of the different industries here, technology, space, everything else, how does that play a role in really the investments in the gaming that you guys have made so far?
Thanks, Joe. Let's take a step back. Esports and the video gaming industry is the most, I would argue, undervalued and underappreciated industry across the board. I mean, if you look at the World Health Organization in 2019, they called out video gaming addiction as a disorder. But they retracted that statement during the dark days of the lockdowns. In 2020, where remember when we launched under the guidance of His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Gamers Without Borders, they came up with a campaign saying it's good for your mental health, for social connections, and for making a difference for the world. And that's why we need to pivot from a $200 billion today industry to cross the $500 billion mark to $1 trillion. And that's the investment thesis of how we could shape an industry and a sport that has contributed significantly, as you have articulated, Joe, to all technological advancements. I mean, if it wasn't for video gaming, you would not appreciate generative AI as we appreciate it today. Sam Altman would not stumble across an artificial intelligence model that tries to beat a game called Dota 2 in 2019, leveraging reinforced learning with human feedback and the transformer model, generating soon to be a $2 trillion economy. If it wasn't for gaming, Elon Musk would not have started at the age of 12, created a game called Blaster that motivated him and inspired him to move into STEM, into coding, into space, and creating soon to be, yet again, a $1.8 trillion economy. In Saudi, we've seen this firsthand. We've seen this with one of our ISIF winners, Rashal Al-Gahtani, who was able to look at biomarkers within the game context to be able to detect diseases such as anxiety disorders. It was our second astronaut, Saudi astronaut, that went to the International Space Station. If you ask him, it was actually the flight simulator that motivated him to become an F-15 fighter and later on an astronaut. And last but not least, if you talk about the women empowerment, and Abdullah is going to talk more about this, the youth empowerment that is happening in gaming, in tech, and digital, it actually started with a Minecraft campaign called Saudi Codes, touching 1 million women and youth to be able to supercharge our digital economy. This is why, Joe, this is not just a conversation with our global partners, but this is driving collective action to make sure that we shape an industry, a sport, for the greater good of the planet, people, and prosperity.
Your Excellency alluded to it a little bit, but one of the things that happens with these big sports initiatives sometimes is people just look at the economics of it, right? And they say, how much money did it bring in, how much tourism, et cetera. How do you think about some of the other initiatives or some of the other results that happen as you look at these sports initiatives?
Let's talk about Gamers Without Borders. 2020, His Royal Highness gave us the mandate during the toughest time. Then the World Health Organization changed the mindset that this is not an addiction. I mean, it's completely preposterous. It's like calling out Cristiano Ronaldo or your big fan Messi, right? Addicted because he spent 6 to 8 hours training for this sport and shooting 400 to 500 shots in a training session. This is really a passion and a grit and a grinta to shape humanity as we know it. I've shared with you the contributions to AI. With OpenAI, the trigger point within the innovation cycle was trying to beat Dota 2. In Saudi Arabia, we're seeing it firsthand, how you can combat anxiety disorders and how you move from the physical world where you look at biomarkers, when it comes to the sugar level, the blood pressure points, and the cholesterol level. Within the gaming industry, you could tackle more than 10 to 15 mental disorders and have gaming be part of the solution, and calling it an obsession and a grit and a grinta for change.
The talent is one piece of it, but once you have that talent, you sort of give yourself the opportunity to become a hub of innovation for different businesses and gaming companies, whether it's AR, VR, et cetera. How do you think about that relationship going from talent to innovation?
Well, Joe, here, what you're seeing on this panel is this ecosystem approach, where NGOs led by His Royal Highness where the government, sports, our global partners, Savvy as our investment arm, Gidea coming together to make sure that we galvanize this industry and take it to the next level. And this is a serious industry in sport. Let me pick up where His Royal Highness have left it. The average cortisol level and beats per minute for an esports athlete is at par with a Formula One driver. That's 160 to 170. In terms of actions per minute, they actually clock in terms of eye-to-hand coordination and hand-to-eye coordination within the mind, 400 to 500 actually actions per minute. For tennis players, that's even a fraction of that number. This is a serious sport and an industry, and this is why we started this journey when it comes to youth and women empowerment with a campaign around Minecraft. And it's not a surprise today that we're one of the highest percentages of women participation in sports, in tech and digital, 35%, and right now in esports and in gaming. And this is why we're also very proud to bring it together, talent and technology and investment and the ecosystem activation within Gidea, where within Savvy we celebrated all of the achievements that we have made, whether it's the ESL Face It, with the Scopely, with Monopoly Go, great job Brian and the Savvy team, and Gidea launching the largest center of the game, right? The city and the district of play. So you spoke, Adwa, about pride. We should be all collectively very proud as publishers, investors, and global partners, because you're part of a movement that is the innovation trigger to the next big thing, not only for a game or a sport, but for a movement that is touching artificial intelligence, innovation, space, and life as we know it. So congratulations, and looking forward to celebrating even the winners tomorrow. But I was told already we have a winner this year. Go Team Falcon. So congratulations to Falcon.